Good day, everyone interested in charting finance. You've come to the right spot because we got a charting finance tool. In fact, we'll start from the very beginning, which is why you see my Safari browser just in a sort of new window state. And we'll go to Charting.Finance. Hit return, and there we are. This is empty. It's beautiful, but beautiful in the way that only a parent can love. So what we have here is on the left-hand side, the way that you enter your financial data. This big dark area in the middle is sort of like the pipeline of all the cards that you create. And then on the right, you see the rolled up financial data. And these will give our top level views. The idea being the left-hand side is the cards that you fill out. The middle part will be the cards you've been dealt or dealt yourself, and then the end result. And below we'll see the charts based on the information in those cards, asset view, earnings view, and you can't quite see, but this is a cash flow view. And we'll go through all those one-on-one, so you'll be able to use the tool yourself with Charting Finance at the top of the Safari browser. So let's start. Let's put in a monthly income, and let's say that I'm making $7,500 a month. Whoops, I'm sorry. Let's put the familiar name in first. So monthly income, 7,500. We're going to start in March of 2025, and let's finish. Let's just do 20 years out, so you can see these graphs go up nicely. So 2045.03. And we'll compute the finished value in our annual return. So we think our salary is going to go up on average 3% a year, kind of inflation. And we put that in, and fantastic, we're in the green, we're making money, this is great. The interesting thing to point out here is because of that 3% annual bump up in salary, our ending salary in March of 2045 is $13,689 a month, which is great, right? But you'll see that I don't have any assets to show. I do have earnings. There's my monthly income. It's going up. That's great. And the cash flow is probably going to look very similar. I've got some taxes to pay off. I'm not actually paying them yet because I haven't told the system how to pay taxes. And I've got various things that my cash flow is going to be looking at. Federal income tax being one of them. So let's go back and create a savings account to put things into, because I got to put my monthly earnings somewhere, right? So let's say savings. Call it savings, very original. Our start value, let's say we just start at 0 because we are just starting off. And we'll keep the same 20-year period. Yeah, sure, 3% for return on savings. And we'll create that as well. Now we've got no values going in, so what we'll do is our monthly income, we're going to send that to our savings. Recalculate, and now we see we've got an asset that we've started building. So basically this chart is on the scale of half years, so every year is two bars, I guess. And we can see our assets growing over time as we credit more and more. Now, this is our cash flow. Here are our assets. So here's the savings. We start out low, the magic of compounding interest. And in 20 years' time, look at that. I'm over $3 million. That's fantastic. Not realistic, though, because we'll get into that. So basically, this is dumping all $7,500 a month into our savings account, and then compound interest of 3%. But I'm going to guess, like the rest of us, you have monthly expenses as well. So let's do that. Let's put in the monthly expenses. And let's say that I budgeted pretty well. And the goal here is not to get in depth, like, I have this much in restaurant expenses and this much for my car. We want to keep it macro because this is a planning tool for the future. You can get into that detail, but you're going to be spending a lot of time entering in all the financial data. So we're going to keep it at the macro level just to give you the basic rules that we want to model. So monthly expenses, And let's say I'm doing $7,000 a month cost, and we'll keep the same 3%, and we're going to apply that to my savings as well. So now I've got my monthly income putting into my savings. I've got my monthly expenses taking out of my savings. So let's go ahead and create that. So that's in the red, because unlike green, which is positive, red means you're going into debt. And you'll see my finished value here is, well, still not, I mean, better, but 219,000 of assets after so many years, which is not great. Plus, remember, I'm still not really quite paying taxes, so let's use this for taxes. And now we're going negative. So we have a problem here. Our first problem of the day, but don't worry, Charting.Finance will help you navigate the issue. So I ended with $219,000. However, let's talk taxes. I was a tax professional. I know a thing or two about taxes, and the first thing I know is you can't avoid taxes and debt and taxes. So let's see what that's going to do with our current positive outcome. We'll go to the cash flow view, and we can see that our cash flow, if you add up the credits and the debits, our cash flow is a bit positive, a little over 3,000 semi-annually. However, we are not paying our taxes yet, so we need to take care of that. And I suspect, cash flow is 3,000, but it looks like our taxes, yearly taxes, are 12. There's an excellent chance we might go in the red here. But let's see. Let's change this so that we're going to pull from our savings account to pay for our taxes. So use for taxes, and this means the system computes what your federal income tax is going to be. It's going to draw from your savings. Remember, we're putting our excess monthly income into savings, but we're also drawing our monthly expenses from savings. We're going to put additional draw for federal taxes from our savings. So we'll recalculate. And that's what I was suspecting. We've gone negative. Oh, those taxes. So you see now we're negative 196. So this is not, the charts are telling us, this is not a budget that we can do over time, unless you somehow can manage zero interest loans, but that's well beyond the scope of this video. So we're close. We can see we bump up a little bit, but then we go negative pretty soon. So one thing we can do, of course, is cut our monthly expenses or raise our income, but let's say it's easier to cut our monthly expenses, and we probably don't need to do much. So let's just say $6,500. And there you go. Just that one change, $500 a month. So this means we have $1,000 extra that we're kind of putting into our savings account, and that is enough to both pay our taxes and grow our assets over time. Now you can see what those tax payments do. We grow, and then we got to pay taxes. We grow, pay taxes. Another way to look at that is our cash flow view. So now we're cash flow positive again. That's very nice, and we're paying our taxes. And we can see our credits and assets, when we combine them, we're cash flow positive. One thing that's interesting, I don't know if you caught this, but if we go back to the asset view, yes, we do build assets over time, but it actually starts declining over a lot of time. So our expenses and our taxes, eventually, it looks like right around 2038, they start actually taking more from our savings than we're putting into it. So we sort of pushed out the problem, but and we gave ourselves some buffer. But notice this starts going down in the future. So what can we do about that as well? And one thing you can do is get a better rate of return than 3%. And this makes it really easy. Like instead of a savings account, let's say we wanted to use a taxable brokerage account, something, all the players. And when they sponsor me, I'll be happy to talk about their names. But right now it's just a brokerage account. And if you go with, real conservative, maybe it does 9% a year. Over time, there's always the great years, there's the bad years, but over time, 9% a year. So let's do this and see what earning 9% does for us. Ooh, this is looking a little better. So now we're up to $61,000, very much in the positive. Oh, and we see a nice progression for our assets. So that's the way we want to go. We want that better return for where we're putting our money, because we want to be increasing over time. Let compound interest work for us, as opposed to that sort of inverted parabola. But we want to do better. And what's another good investment we can make to increase our net worth, our assets over time? And right now, I'm basically modeling someone that, as part of their monthly expenses, they're renting. Let's see what the American Dream does to this model. And one thing we want to point out first, before we do this, we're going to add a house and a mortgage. But notice our taxes start at $12,000, go up to over $20,000, 21, 22 by the time we're done with our model here. What is buying a house? And I hear these mortgage subsidies and all that kind of thing. What does that do? So let's take a look real quick. So I'm going to add a house, about $450,000, roughly the average or median in the U.S. right now, and then I'll add a mortgage at 6%. And I'm going to go through the magic editing to add the house and mortgage cards in our container here. And we can see, so the house is $450,000, which is roughly the median house right now. And the mortgage is 20% down, $90,000, so $360,000, 6% interest for 360 months, 30 year. And this will obviously depend. And what I did that is under the seat, I did give us $90,000 for that down payment. So exercise left to the user, come up with $90,000. But again, we're doing the model to see what homes can do to our net asset value over time. And what you should see right over here is we went up from, I think it was 60 some thousand up to 790, almost $800,000 for a median house over time. And we can look at our asset view, and we see that the home really is a large part of our assets. There's our savings helping us out, our mortgage paying off over time. And let's look at the taxes. So you'll notice that we're creating this very large asset, but here's where the tax laws are make it very beneficial for home ownership, because our taxes actually went down slightly because of over time. Even though we've got this large growing assets, it helped our taxes. So not only do we get the home appreciation, we get the equity we build up over time, but we also have a reduced payout for taxes. So this is why homes turn into the ultimate piggy bank, certainly in the U.S., because of the tax situation. So that's modeled out over time. Now you may ask yourself, hey, that was nice. I mean, I bet if you'd put that $90,000 into a brokerage account, maybe you would have done even better. Maybe. But you know what? I think that's a separate video. So we'll stop it here. And then next we'll show, we'll use the model to see if it makes sense to buy a house or to invest it, and see what the cost benefits are. Until then.